aquí estamos en el velero Neutrógena. Este primer mes ha sido bastante bueno. He aprendido bastante lo que es un Imoca 60, las condiciones, la meteorología. Con Guillermo he aprendido bastante lo que es la técnica y el trimmer del barco. Al principio un poco cansador, muchas maniobras, condiciones adversas. Bueno, ahora también un poco, pero creo que estamos en buen plan y muy buena situación y bueno, tratando de llegar al barco al 100%.
Day 32 of the Barcelona World Race, and the fleet continued to track around the Antarctic exclusion zone, shown here in red. Cheminée-Pujola leading by around 250 miles from Neutrogena. Neutrogena put in 2 jibes last night to stay in good pressure and avoid this exclusion zone, but they are making miles. Gaia Centros Auditivos in third, hitting a large high pressure zone likely to slow them for at least the next 24 hours. Renault Captor in fourth, meanwhile, not quite in the lighter winds yet and averaging a good 12 knots. We Are Water, they're sticking closer to the 40-degree mark, furthest north in the fleet, while One Planet One Ocean, the most southerly boat, also averaging around 12 knots. Spirit of Hungary yesterday reported some keel troubles, but this morning they were one of the fastest boats in the fleet, sailing at around 16 knots. Leaders are expected to pass the Kerguelen Islands later today. So looking at the leaderboard for Saturday, January the 31st, Cheminée-Pujola continuing to lead Neutrogena, currently by about 230 miles. The official distance between these two frontrunners varying slightly as they track between the different waypoints of the Southern Ocean, but Neutrogena around 250 miles behind on the water, but making gains with the faster boat speed over the past 24 hours. Gaia Centros Auditivos averaging under 10 knots as they hit this anticyclone. Renault Captor, meanwhile, averaging around 12 knots and taking miles out of Ana Corbea and Gerald Marin. We Are Water in fifth, the most northerly boat in the fleet, averaging between 8 and 10 knots. One Planet One Ocean sailing at around 12 to 13 knots. And Spirit of Hungary clocking 16 knots at this morning's 9 AM update, making them joint fastest boat on the course, equalling Neutrogena's pace.
How are things with you today?
Good. Some wind and some waves as well, and but it's fast sailing. Quite good.
And before the start, if someone had told you you would be where you are now, how would you have felt about that, your position?
Well, when we started this race, the Barcelona World Race, the target, and it's still now, is to finish the race without stopping. That's the main goal for us. The position is one thing we will see later on when we pass the Indian Ocean, the Pacific, and we turn left at Cape Ford. Then we start worrying about the results. But now we are more concentrated to keep the boat fast and in one piece. That's the main thing, and finish the race. Whatever happens later in the results is one thing we'll worry about later on. But now we are more concentrated in go fast and safe.
And looking ahead, what do you expect for the next couple of days?
Well, we're just looking all the time the weather pattern for the next 3 days. It's going to be complicated because it's low pressure and it's tropical cycling, which is going to give us it's going to basically cut or track to go to the east, and it's going to be in the middle of us. So we have to negotiate this low pressure in the best way because it's going to be quite an extreme condition close to the center. So it was the more important thing the next few days is to negotiate this low pressure and tropical cycling.
So earlier we spoke to Guillermo Altadil on Neutrogena. Guillermo sounded in good spirits. He and Jose Munoz in second have gained some miles on frontrunner Cheminée-Pujola. They put in 2 jibes yesterday and have kept their boat speed averages up to around 15 knots. Cheminée Pujolar are currently around 220 miles to the east and on a more southerly course, sailing right along the limit of the Antarctic exclusion zone this morning. Guillemot says they are very much not looking at the position reports at the moment, instead focusing on keeping up the pace and keeping the boat in good shape until they get to Cape Horn at the tip of South America. However, the pressure has been taken slightly off Neutrogena in terms of any threat from behind, with third place Anna Corbeia and Gerard Marin currently slowed by the effects of a fairly substantial high pressure system. Gaius Centros Auditivos have got a real worst case scenario. They're right in the centre of the high, often with just 4 to 5 knots, but also very close to the Antarctic exclusion zone, giving them very few options other than simply riding out another 24 hours at least of very light winds. It's not all plain sailing for the leading pairs, however. Guillemot explained that there is a tropical cyclonic system which could pass close to the leaders in 3 or 4 days' time, with around 55 knots likely at its centre. They and Jonacam and Bernard Stam on Cheminée Pujolar will be tracking its development very closely to see if it dissipates as it gets to the colder water of the south or crosses their paths.
How are things on board?
Good. It's a little bit more grey than yesterday. Yesterday was bright sunshine and it was warm. Today it's a little bit more grey, but we got 10 knots, 17 knots of wind speed, 10 degrees of temperature, no waves, no calm. Really pleasant.
And how are you finding life in the south? Is it what you expected?
At the moment, not really, because everybody says it's cold, it's miserable, it's big waves, and we had, at the beginning, I think it was 5 days ago, we had a little bit like that, with 5-meter waves, and it was windy and a little bit cold, but until then it was more like, it was sunny, it was warm, it was not like you expect the Indian Ocean to be. So, but I think there will come some tough moments with big wind speeds, high waves, and all the stuff you expect from the Southern Ocean.
Looking at Gaius, what are your options?
Looking at Gaius, our options going fast as fast as possible to getting as many miles out of them as possible to possibly overtake them one day, hopefully, maybe.
But do you see any opportunities coming up?
Yeah, well, I mean, at the moment we are gaining some miles on them. I think they are more stuck in the high pressure system than us. So this is a good time for us to get back to deficit, to reduce the gap between us and them. And afterwards we'll see. I think afterwards it will be a really boat race with boat speed and boat handling, and I think then the crew who pushes harder will come out on top, in my eyes.
We also caught up with Jorg Reachers on Renault Captur in fourth. Jorg and Sebao Degan have enjoyed around 1,000 miles of straight-line fast sailing in the past few days, so no surprise that Jorg was upbeat and felt that they really got into a good rhythm between them after a trickier start to their Barcelona World Race. This is Jorg's first Southern Ocean race, and the Indian Ocean is so far giving him a fairly gentle introduction. Jorg reported that they had very enjoyable sailing conditions with 17-knot winds, sunshine, reasonably warm temperatures and calm seas. However, this is something of a false gift from the Southern Oceans, and while Renault Captur has been making good gains on third-placed Gaius Centros Auditivos, currently around 300 miles ahead of them, they too will begin to feel the effects of this high-pressure system shortly and can expect boat speeds to slow in the next 24 hours. Behind them, We Are Water in fifth is no immediate threat. They're around 600 miles away, but the Garcia brothers have taken a much more northerly route to really keep their tactical options open as the rest of the fleet commits to a very southerly course right along this Antarctic exclusion zone. In seventh place, Spirit of Hungary yesterday reported they'd had more technical problems, this time with their keel ram, but they've engineered a solution on board. In the midst of their repairs, both Conrad and Nandor have set new personal bests, covering just short of 374 miles in the past 24 hours.
Situation for the competitors today is very close to the yesterday. It's very close of the same thing. The two leaders are in a good condition to go to escape, and unfortunately for Gais, he's still in the high pressure, so more difficulty for this boat because he has difficulties to catch the good wind to go with the system. So Gais will be the distance between Renault Capture and Gais will reduce a little bit today in the next 24 hours. About one planet, one ocean, and we are water, they are still in a good system coming to South Cape Bonne Espérance on a good speed for Spirit of Hungary with a strong northwest with speed about 17-18 knots speed for this boat in this moment, so it will arrive very fast in the South Indian.